Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Hope you all have a fantastic day. So in today's episode, we're going to go over A-arms. I'm actually going to switch the A-arms out on my Honda Pioneer to fix my rubbing issue. I figured while I'm doing that, I might as well show you different options of A-arms you can get out there. So if you're looking for an aftermarket A-arm, which one's the best? Now no, we're not going to go over all the options out there. What I'm going to show you is three different ones. I'm going to show you the stock, I'm going to show you Super ATV, which is currently on there. I'm going to show you the new ones I just got in the mail by Texas Tough Customs. For those of you new to the channel, let me tell you about my Honda Pioneer. It started off stock like they all do. Then I put a high lifter 2-inch lift on it and some 28.5-inch tall truck tires. Eventually I moved up and I put some Super ATV forward and rear A-arms on it, and then I pulled off the lift and I put the Viking 814 shocks on there. Those shocks give me about 1.5 inches of lift. And that was all fun until I wanted to run 35s. So now my current setup is I have the Viking 814 shocks with the Super ATV forward and rear A-arms, and I'm running a 4-inch portal with a 30% gear reduction. It gives me about 5.5 to 6 inches of lift. On the rear, there's no rubbing at all, even at full compression. But up front is a different story. So if you come over here to my driver's side, you look at my wheel, it is just barely touching down there. And I'm almost at full lock, not quite there. Now, in the last video, I replaced this front floor, and I don't want to damage it by driving this and having it currently rubbed. So there's two options. One is I can cut this section out and put a cap there that they make. Or number two, I can pull the front tires forward. That's why I'm going to change out the front Super ATV A-arms to my new Texas Tough Custom A-arms. I'm already running their tie rods, but I actually got to change those out too. The new Texas Tough Custom A-arms push everything forward 3.5 inches. So let me get these Super ATV ones off and let's do a side-by-side comparison on the workbench. Alright, so I have the Super ATV A-arms off. So right here, I have your stock A-arms, your Super ATV, and your Texas Tough Customs. So let's go ahead and do a side-by-side comparison, and let's look at them. So just from looking at these, the stock A-arms, here's your lower, is much, much smaller overall size on everything than the Super ATV. And then to compare them to the Texas Tough Customs, look at that. So there are a few key differences of these A-arms, and they're all a little bit different. So in your stock A-arms, the ball joint is pressed in. This is your lower. And then your bushings are just rubber pressed in bushings. You can push them out, whatever you need to do. They're non-greasable, and it's just a rubber joint. So you get a little bit of play, which will help prevent you from bending these A-arms if you hit them hard enough, but they're pretty thin. So if we take our calipers out and we zero them out here, this A-arm is about 1 inch thick. I'm showing 1.01. So now let's look at these Super ATV A-arms. These are much beefier A-arms. Let's measure these. They are 1.25 inches thick. Now the difference with your Super ATV A-arms is they have an adjustable camber. And what that means is your tire is like this, and as you lift it, it kind of goes out. This is the top, it'll go out. So what this camber does is you can thread these in and out. There's a jam nut. You can bring that so it's nice and up and down. So that's really nice with these A-arms, and these are probably the most cost-effective A-arms you can get on the market. When I bought these A-arms, they were about $299. I think they've gone up to about $350 a set for the front and the rear. But they are a good investment, and they also push, as you see right there, it pushes the wheel 1.5 inches forward, like I said earlier. They also utilize stock ball joints right here, and they have bushings are serviceable. We had to replace this one as recently in Find That Clunk video, and they're greasable. Now this greaser did come off when I was taking them off, but you can replace these if they ever get loose, which is a nice feature, and you can adjust the camber like I said. Now here is the lower Texas Tough Custom A-arm. Now I haven't put the bushings in, and they go right here. It utilizes the same bushings of Super ATV. They actually sent me Super ATV bushings. There's other companies out there, but those are what you're going to use right here. And if you look at these ones, let's measure these. These are also 1.25 inches thick. Weight-wise, they feel about the same, to be honest. These might be a little bit lighter, but I also don't have the ball joints in here. Now let's talk about the ball joint. It's a little bit different, isn't it? So here is my lower ball joint. Texas Tough Customs utilizes 1-ton truck parts for theirs, so I can go down to any auto parts store and get these, and they just thread in, just like this. And then they send you how to set it for the correct camber. So those are your lower A-arms, and this pushes everything forward 3.5 inches. All right, so here's a comparison with the stock one on top, Super ATV in the middle, and my Texas Tough Custom there. You can just kind of see, get everything lined up back there, how much farther forward they come. And then here's a side profile view. Now they're both arched A-arms, but you can see where the arches are. It looks like the Super ATV may be a little bit farther out, but that just could be an illusion. Now let's go ahead and look at the upper A-arms. So the tubing diameter is the same as the lower. The stock A-arms are 1 inch. The two aftermarket ones are 1.25 inches. But where it becomes interesting is on the Super ATV, you can grease those upper A-arm mounts, but you can't do it in Texas Tough Customs. They didn't put any grease zerks in it. But the shock mount is what really gets me, and the difference in thickness of the metal. And what do I mean? Well, I mean this part right here. So if I measure stock one, it is 0.15 of an inch. But looking at the Super ATV, it is 0.11 of an inch, which is surprising that it's thinner gauge material than the stock A-arm. And then the Texas Tough Customs, well, that's 0.18 of an inch, which is pretty good. Now there is a different upgrade you can get with your Texas Tough Customs that makes them even stronger than the stock ones and the Super ATV. If you choose the option, you can actually have them not make it a single mounting point like this, and they will actually make it 2 separate mounting points and send you the new hardware required to bolt them up, to include a weld-on tab that either you or qualified shop can weld on, and then you'll actually have 2 mounting points for your upper A-arm versus 1. Now when I ordered these, I went the cheapest route, and I ordered the bare metal because I wanted to go ahead and take the same spray paint that I use on everything else, this blue color, and that way if I ever damage them, get them scratched up, which you will do, I go ahead and just spray paint them. But they do offer a powder coat option. So now when we're comparing the Super ATV to the Texas Tough Customs, Super ATV actually gives you another brace, while the Texas Tough Customs doesn't. But the plates right here on the Super ATV is very thin compared to the thickness of the Texas Tough Customs. So that's a nice feature on here. The other feature I really like on these ones, other than pushing the wheels forward, is again, it's a high-end tie rod end out of a 1-ton truck. So we're going to go ahead and try these. I haven't really had an issue with breaking ball joints. I've worn a couple out, but these are nice and easier to fix on the trail because they literally just screw in and out the side. No more ball joint press. Now it's time to stop talking and go ahead and start installing these. So for the A-arms, I'm going to go ahead and put my Super ATV bushings back in these. Install some new bushings, and I'm going to bolt them up. So assembling these is just like assembling your Super ATV A-arms. Long bushings will go up here, and then this piece will just slide right in. I like to put a little bit of grease on here just to help everything lubricate, and there's no binding. Back one is even easier. they'll slide on in. Okay, so here's everything nice and installed. As you can see, the A-arms come pretty far forward. Have the nice beefy tie rods in, and the A-arms. Now I did zip tie these like I said I would, but let me show you one thing real quick with the shock. So on the shock, the bottom is slightly farther forward than the top, but there's a bushing in here that will allow that to happen just fine, and it will not bind. Everything else installs just like a standard set of A-arms. Got your bolts up there, the bottom. Don't forget, you don't torque these to the factory spec until you have weight on it, which I don't have the weight on it yet. Make sure your jam nuts are nice and tight, and I'll go ahead and grease these top and bottom. So let's go ahead and get the wheel on. Okay, I'm out here in the rocks because it's a little easier on it. Let me show you full lock, steering wheel turned all the way. This is awesome. I had to back it out to make it a little easier, and I wanted the suspension to settle. So here you go. Oh yeah, you got a couple inches there. Let's go turn it to the other side. Let's see. By the way, I have a stock steering. It's doing just fine. And there is full lock. Well, there you have it. There is my A-arm comparison, stock versus Super ATV versus Texas Tough Customs. I'm pretty satisfied with myself. I'm now running a 4-inch Portal with their A-arms, 35-inch tall tires, and no more rubbing. There's lots of aftermarket A-arms out there, so check them out. These ones you can even get with a built-in 3-inch lift. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and until next time.